Welcome to another Unmuted. I am so delighted that you're joining us today. And we've got a topic that what we hear from all the polling that is out there, and we've looked at a recent poll, 70% of the American people agree with us that transgender men should not play in women's sports, that young people should play sports based on their sex at birth. And on the Senate floor recently, I introduced a resolution that would have taken October 10th, which, of course, that day would be recognized by the Roman numerals XX, and we would take October 10th and use that as a day to celebrate American girls in sports. And one of the reasons to do this is because of the disastrous policies and the negative effect of revisions to Title IX. Title IX opened up the world of sports to female athletes. It was signed in 1972. At that point, we had about 300,000 female athletes. And today, when you celebrated in 2022 the 50 years of Title IX, today we've got over 3 million female athletes. That shows you what opportunity does for young women and young girls. So, as our guest today, we have two experts in this field. One is Jennifer Say, and the other is Kim Jones, and we're going to invite them into our conversation. Jennifer, I want to start with you. You are the CEO of XXXY Sports, and during your career as a gymnast, you were a national team member and the 1986 national champion. So, talk with me about what has made you so passionate about sports and sports opportunities for females and how you've ended up with XXXY.
Yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned, I was an elite gymnast as a child. I started gymnastics just 2 years after Title IX was passed. I am very passionate about girls and women and my own daughter having the opportunities that were afforded to me in the education system because of my participation in sports. And I see that being erased with the rewrite of Title IX. I'm passionate about protecting women's rights. This movement of allowing trans-identified male athletes to compete in women's sports is a men's rights movement. Let's make no mistake. And I am a lifelong feminist. I come from the left. I'm not left identified anymore because I feel that the Democrats have trespassed their own stated values to such a significant degree that I cannot be a party to this party. But I am a lifelong feminist. And I think most importantly, I care about the truth. And what underpins all of this is such a lie that is so egregious that men and women are no different, that their bodies are no different. We all know that's a lie. This isn't even about politics. This is about defending truth. And of course, our daughters, young girls and young women.
Yes, and I think you're right. It's about defending them and their opportunities.
Exactly.
Because if Title IX goes away, they lose those opportunities to have a specific category for female athletes. Kim, talk with me a little bit about icons and the Independent Council for Women's Sports. And I know that at Stanford, you were an All-American tennis player and a NCAA runner-up. And what was your experience? And then juxtapose that against what your daughter is seeing.
Okay, sure. So I loved sports growing up. I grew up with a football father who really enjoyed encouraging me in sports. I had just unbelievable experiences traveling around the world and meeting people. I loved representing the United States, and tennis just opened so many doors for me. It gave me so many opportunities. not to mention all of those things that accompany sports, like learning dedication and sacrifice, confidence, personal growth, all those life lessons. So I am super passionate, like Jen, about these advantages being accessible to women and girls. It's unquestionably makes our world a better place to see women and girls succeed on the stage of sports. So we started Icons in order to have a voice to defend women and girls in sports because, as you said, my daughter faced something where she didn't have anyone defending her voice. So she had to compete head to head against Lia Thomas, the man who swam on the Penn men's team for 3 years and then decided to compete against women. And that was a pivotal experience for sure. To watch your daughter publicly humiliated and degraded by a man because it suits his desires and makes him feel better, there's really no words to express it. So all the countless hours of work and dedication that she put into her passion to give herself a chance to compete in what she loved with honor and integrity and have that just stripped away from her like it was a joke and even clapped at. It's it's really hard to even think back on it. So my daughter and all of her peers, they were just completely abandoned by their coaches, the schools, the NCAA, governing bodies of sport, and of course the Biden-Harris administration. So no one during that experience had the courage to stand up to complete insanity. It was like waking up in the middle of a twilight zone, realizing I didn't live in the world I thought I did. And then being shocked to understand that there were too many people that either didn't know what was happening or didn't have the moral backbone to do anything. So it was from that point on that I resolved there's no way I was going to be a part of leaving this legacy behind.
And then with the council, what is your outreach to
Um,
female athletes?
what is so we are a resource for female athletes. We also then just take it up. We've got hundreds of Olympians and professional athletes also working with us, even thousands, to advocate within their governing bodies, to work on policy, to just be a support system. But one of the most important things we do is we serve as a resource, a place where female athletes, families, teams, administrators, people on policymakers can reach out to us and say, can you help us with the science? Can you help us with the effects on women? Can you help us change things? How can we advocate? What can we do? That's what we're trying to put together.
Got it. So you serve as a resource center for them to
Mhm.
figure out how to deal with this.
Yes, anyone, including
Right.
governing bodies. Yeah.
That's great. And Jennifer, I want to come back to you, knowing your work on XXXY. Um, why is it, do you think, and I appreciate your perspective, saying you're a lifelong feminist. You've been out there as a trailblazer and chose to do that for women and young girls. What would lead the Senate Democrats to block a celebratory resolution so that all of these athletes, whether they're in high school, whether they're in college, whether they're Olympians, that their community could come around them and say, this is your day. This is American Girls in Sports Day. What would cause them to block it?
You know, Senator, this party has lost all sense of right and wrong. I was a Democrat for many years up until 2020 because I thought that they cared about the things that I cared about. I don't want to debate whether that was a lie before and whether I got it wrong, but certainly at this point, this is a party claiming to stand up for women. They are doing no such thing. They are telling women to sit down and be quiet and let males take their opportunities. This is a party that can't define what a woman is. How can you defend women's rights if you don't even know what a woman is and you can't define what a woman is? So they are sacrificing girls at the altar of wokeness, in my opinion, and treating them with such astonishing, girls and young women, with such astonishing disregard. I can't explain it. I don't understand it, Senator, but I can't be a party to it. And This should be a nonpartisan issue. This is about right and wrong. This is about truth. This is about fairness. And this is about protecting women and girls. And I don't care what names anybody calls me. I'm going to continue to do that. I was an early whistleblower. I've been standing up for female athletes for over 20 years. I was a whistleblower in the sport of gymnastics, where we now know abuse has been rampant for nearly 5 decades. I worked with Senator Feinstein to get the Safe Sport Act passed. And again, people were ignoring abuse that was right in front of their eyes at that point. We came to to do the right thing. I don't think that governing bodies will do the right thing until forced to do so, until so many athletes stand up with you and with us and say no more. They won't do it until they are sadly humiliated into it. They will not do the right thing. And so I'm proud to stand with you and with Kim and work with athletes across the country, because the Democrats have lost their way on this issue.
Well, I am so delighted to have you all on with me. And I will tell you this, October 10th, we are going to celebrate XX. We're going to celebrate American girls, Tennessee girls in sports. I say so many times, I know there are hundreds of young girls that want to be a Lady Vol and play basketball with the University of Tennessee. And I want them to have those opportunities, whether it's basketball or softball or golf or tennis or any of the sports that they want to compete in. I want them to learn what it means to be a team member, how to work as a team member, how to follow a leader on that team and build those relationships. I want them to learn how to win, how to lose, how to compete, how to be successful, and how to celebrate that success as a team. So thank you all for the work that you are doing. We are just so grateful. And to our audience, thank you for joining us today. We certainly appreciate it. You're always going to find me on social media at Marsha Blackburn.